Done.
Wow.
You okay?
No.
Gonna make it?
No, I'm too nervous.
So, I've been eating only meat on a carnivore-based diet for about just over a month now. And this is why I did it, how I found out about it, and what effect it's had on my body. So I started because I heard about it online. I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast. It had Jordan Peterson on it, and he was talking about how eating a carnivore diet, beef-based, really helped his clinical depression. He had very severe clinical depression. He found out or discovered the carnivore diet through his daughter Michaela. He explained a little bit about how she started this diet on sort of this, I think it was like a 3-year-long journey to figure out how to help her autoimmune disorders without medication, because she had very severe autoimmune disorders. And they were very similar to my own. And so I heard about this, and at first I thought it was a bit strange to try and survive on only meat. But the impact it seemed to have on them was kind of amazing if it was in fact true. So I started doing a little bit of research about it. And I watched another Joe Rogan episode about Dr. Sean Baker, who is a doctor. He's an MD. I think he's an osteosurgeon. And he started this carnivore diet. At the time of the podcast, he'd been doing it for a year. So a year of eating only meat, and he was still working out. He was a very healthy man. He was doing well. He didn't have any autoimmune disorders, though, so I think he was just doing it because he found himself to be more clarity and more awake, I suppose. So I looked him up. I found his Instagram. He's been doing it for about 3 years now. He's very healthy. He got some cholesterol tests done, and they came back perfect. So I found those, and those people seemed to be doing okay. So I figured a month probably wouldn't hurt me. And then I watched Michaela Peterson, so Jordan Peterson's daughter, who has the very severe autoimmune disorder similar to my own, was on the Joe Rogan podcast very recently. And so I watched that and listened to her talk about how she came upon all of this and how it's helping her. And so then she had mentioned she had been on TVO, which is a Toronto news station. She lives in Toronto, with her father, Jordan Peterson. I think in 2012 was the first time they were on it. And so I went and found that interview. And this was before she had figured out diet had anything to do with it. She was just on antidepressants, and they were on TVO explaining how amazing these antidepressants were working for them. She looked very cloudy. She didn't look healthy. I mean, I think it's great that they found that the antidepressants helped her, but still, very obviously, she didn't seem happy. And so then there was a second interview she had done in 2016 on TVO. So I watched that one, and this was after she found out that she was sensitive to, I think it was like carbs and soy, so she had cut those out of her diet, and she was no longer taking antidepressants, and she looked much better. So at this point I'm thinking, okay, so this obviously has some sort of effect. And so I started looking into autoimmune disease and its connection to the gut and gut health and the microbiome, and then I found out about leaky gut, which is essentially your gastrointestinal tract. Why are you doing that? What are you doing? So leaky gut is essentially when the pores in your gastrointestinal tract are bigger than they're supposed to be. That can happen through infections or trauma of some kind. And essentially these pores, when normal, are supposed to allow essential nutrients into your bloodstream. But when they become bigger than they should be, they allow other things into your bloodstream that can be inflammatory. And the problem is molecular mimicry. So that's when these particles of food that shouldn't be there get through and mimic parts of your tissues. And so then your autoimmune system is attacking these foreign bodies that shouldn't be there, but it's molecular mimicry in that they sort of mimic the tissues in your body, which confuses your autoimmune system and then develops into chronic inflammation because you're always eating these foods, and it's just kind of a vicious cycle, and then you end up with autoimmune symptoms. And so all of that information led me to trying this. So I decided I would do it for a month to see if food actually is a problem for me. So the idea behind this is that meat is not an inflammatory food. It's not a miracle food, it's just a food that's not going to give you an inflammatory response. So my idea was to do it for a month and then reintroduce foods that I would like to eat, but do it slowly so that I can figure out what it is gives me symptoms. So it's been a month now of only meat. Immediately, I had this bloating go away that I didn't even know I had. Like, it had been about a week, and like my clothing was baggy, my face was thinner, and it's not actual weight loss, it's just bloating from eating so many carbs and so much sugar on a daily basis that you're retaining water, so the water weight just goes. But because you're eating at a steady caloric deficit, because all you're eating is meat, there is a weight loss trend. That wasn't really the goal, but it happens. And so now I've been eating basically twice a day. I eat high-fat meats because you want lots of fat to keep you satiated for long periods of time. You stay full longer. So I eat at about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning at work, and then I don't eat again until about 8 or 9 o'clock at night, depending. And that's completely fine. I'm not starving myself. I don't ever feel hungry. It's just, that's what I eat. And full feeling is a lot different, I find, because before, feeling full was like, oh, I'm so bloated, I feel gross, I can't possibly eat anymore. That's what I associated with being full. I wouldn't have described it that way before, but now that I know different, that would be how I would describe it. Now it's just, I've eaten my fill, I'm content, I'm no longer hungry, and I'm done. My stomach doesn't bloat, my pants aren't tight, I don't feel tired. It's just very different from anything I've experienced. So, at the beginning of September, I cut everything out. I continued to drink pre-workout for a little while because I didn't want to cut caffeine off completely, but I found myself trying to justify that the pre-workout was okay because there was no sugar in it, and that was just, I didn't like that. So I stopped drinking the pre-workout, and I had no caffeine, which my body is used to. So I figured I'd probably get a caffeine headache, and I never did, which was bizarre, to say the least. And I kind of had a breaking point in between the month, like in the middle of the month, where I just really wanted like a salad or some fruit or something because I like fruits and vegetables and I miss them. But I got through it and kept going because I really, I know I would have felt like a failure if I didn't complete the month because I really wanted to know what was going to happen. About a week and a half ago, I started drinking coffee again, but only because I wanted it. It wasn't because I was craving it. I put unsweetened coconut milk in it and some cinnamon, and that's it. When I first started drinking it, I put honey in it because usually I like a little bit of sugar in my coffee. So I thought a little bit of honey should be okay. It's like the smallest amount, like maybe 3 grams of sugar. And I did it for 3 days, and I noticed my skin started to break out again because I've had cystic acne my entire adult life. But it had started to go away upon not really eating anything of the meat, which I was very happy about. But then I had a few blemishes coming up when I started putting the honey in my coffee. So I stopped putting the honey in my coffee, and about 3 days later, they were just healing, and I had nothing new coming up, which was amazing because I've had very chronic, consistent cystic acne my entire adult life. So that was very interesting. Another thing that I noticed was I have had eczema on my hands, like, horribly. I prescribed cream for it, and it's hard to know if it was the food or the cream, but it did go away. But the thing is, I didn't consistently use the cream after it started to go away, and it never came back. And then this weekend I used some soap that I don't normally use, and it came back. So I had put the cream on, but not consistently. I just put it on once because it was burning so badly, and then I just didn't put it on again, and it went away, which is unheard of. This is stuff that it doesn't go away. You need a prescription to make this stuff go away. There's no other way around it. So that was really interesting. And then I also noticed that I was no longer tired in the afternoon. Normally at work, I would eat, and then come 3 o'clock-ish, I would be exhausted, like utterly exhausted, like another cup of coffee, it needs to get me through or I'm going to fall asleep at my desk. And that's just gone, and I don't have a second cup of coffee because I don't have coconut milk at work. So I'm only having 1 coffee a day, and I'm nowhere near as tired. So that was interesting. In the morning, normally I'm a bear. Like, I can't wake up. It's awful. It's painful to open my eyes. It's just the worst. I've always been horrible in the morning. Not so much anymore. That went away. So that was really cool. I've had a little bit of pain, but I haven't been taking my medication, and the pain isn't taking me out. It hurts. It's not chronic. It's just, if there's a rainstorm coming, I'll have a little bit of pain, but it goes away. And I don't have to take my medication. So, by my standards, I'm doing better. And then, I did notice that I haven't taken my acid reflux medication in a while, which was really interesting. So, I suppose I should explain my autoimmune disorders. The reason why mine are so similar to Michaela's is because she has JRA, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and so do I. I was diagnosed when I was 6 years old with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. It was later changed to a diagnosis called juvenile idiopathic arthritis. It was changed because I don't have the R factor in my blood saying that I have rheumatoid arthritis. Oh my god, my battery's gonna die. So it was changed to idiopathic because they don't know why I have it. Idiopathic means we don't know why you have this, you have this. I also have eczema, which is the rash on my hands that I was talking about. That's also an autoimmune disorder. I have tendinitis, so it's arthritis of the tendons, I suppose. I could explain it that way. Very painful. I have fibromyalgia, which is just pressure points on your body, and if enough of them hurt, you're diagnosed with fibromyalgia. It's kind of a catch-all. You have pain in these places, and we don't know why. And then I've noticed, and I think I may have a gluten sensitivity. I've never had blood work for celiac, but it's an autoimmune disorder, and if I have these ones, why wouldn't I have that one, kind of, because gluten, I've discovered this month, makes me very sick. So essentially, if I eat pasta or pizza or anything with a lot of gluten in it, I get bloated, I get tired, I get cranky, I have to go to bed. My stomach is so sore, it's just absolutely the worst. So I think I might get some blood work done for that eventually, just to find out. So, all of these things, since I was 6 years old, and I'm really sick of them. I've been on just loads and loads and loads of medication over the years, tons of side effects, and I'm just not interested in that anymore. If I can control it with my food, why wouldn't I? That would be amazing if I could just never take medication again. So the acid reflux that I was talking about. I haven't had any in like 2, almost 3 weeks now, which is unheard of. I had an ulcer when I was young as a result of a medication, one of the many I've been on, and so I've had acid reflux ever since because there's scars in my stomach from that ulcer. And I've had biopsies done on my stomach lining. It's always very irritated, and so I have this medication to keep the stomach acids at bay. I haven't had to take it in 2 weeks. I don't have acid reflux. It doesn't hurt. I don't wake up in the middle of the night feeling sick. It's just gone. So I think there's really something to that. So essentially, this month has taught me that it probably is food that's making me sick. So I went and bought this book. It's called The Autoimmune Solution Cookbook. It's by Amy Myers. She is an MD. And I've been reading through it, and basically my plan is to reintroduce foods one at a time, very slowly, and see what happens, and see if I can find which foods hurt me, and essentially go from there. This book promises to have tons and tons of recipes to teach me how to cook with an autoimmune disorder. She claims that everything in here is not going to cause an autoimmune flare-up. Based on my diagnosis, there's a couple of things in here that for certain people they shouldn't eat, but for what I have, it should be fine. So that's very exciting. It sounds very expensive because I'm going to have to get a lot of flour substitutes and stuff because gluten is incredibly inflammatory. The leaky gut that I was talking about before, gluten is one of the most inflammatory foods you can eat for that. And essentially, what I figured I would do is I would film this and just explain everything I've been doing. Hopefully it makes sense. And then I think once a month I might upload another video just explaining what I've introduced that month, what has happened, and how I'm doing. And just go from there and try and figure it out. And really the reason why I want to do it is because I want to keep, kind of a log for myself, But also, if someone else suffering from something similar to what I have sees this and then decides to try it themselves, that would be worth it for me, because I've been suffering for about 20 years now. And if this is the solution to it, oh my god, I want everyone to know, because medication is just not, in my opinion, the best solution. As someone who has had damaged liver and many, many, many medications over the years causing lots of side effects that are really scary, if food's the solution, everyone needs to know. So hopefully I'll upload again in a month's time, and maybe I'll be eating a little bit more than meat.